Well, good morning, everybody. Today we are headed into Mount Rushmore. We decided this would be the day to do it. We were debating between today and tomorrow for doing either Mount Rushmore or Black Elk Peak, the highest point in South Dakota. We decided to do Rushmore today and Black Elk Peak tomorrow, even though there is a chance of thunderstorms.
Toward Mount Rushmore.
So this is really going to be something that I feel like a lot of travel channels really need to get. It's a very important thing. If you're into traveling and you have a YouTube channel, you got to get Mount Rushmore at some point. So, and it's also very fitting because today is also the 5-year birthday of Lewis Tours videos. So,
5 years?
Yeah, it was 5 years. It was 2015. So, so happy 5-year anniversary, everybody, and treat you to a little bit of Mount Rushmore for the special. Look at this! It's a cool little rock tunnel in the right by Mount Rushmore, and now we're on the other side of it. So there was that. There it is. Yeah, I could see Washington, I think.
Oh, okay.
So we're about to go right along this corner here. Yeah, see, you can see right there.
Oh yeah.
America, F yeah. Jorge.
Jorge.
Nice. Look at that.
That's so weird.
Look at that right there.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, you get the turnout here. You can.
I'm gonna take this off the window. Wow.
Better job maximizing the number of cars you can pull in there, people.
Wow.
In 1/4 mile, turn right.
The trees are flying.
Nice. Beautiful. So here's the entrance to the park. Right here, and right behind there you can see the heads.
Yeah, I know.
Looks like they're doing some sort of construction over here. Really is just amazing once you actually get here. It's like, wow, they carved all that into the mountain. Yes. So we're just gonna walk up and get a little closer to it now and walk the Presidential Trail, I imagine.
Yeah, I'll send it. Not mention names since Ryan's recording.
Thank you. Oh, that's cool. They have them in like kind of groups here. Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Missouri, Michigan.
It's all wrapped up.
26.
Flag's kind
I
of
know.
wrapped up.
26 state.
Yep.
Committed to union.
Yep. We were in the second half.
Well, we were technically in a grouping that also included Arkansas, so we had one slave and one free. We were just 2 years late because we couldn't resolve the Toledo War, in which a dog was killed.
In which a dog was killed.
Well, that's what Mr. Cunningham always used to say.
Yeah.
Someone shot someone else's dog because they wanted the Toledo
Monroe
strip.
County got stabbed.
Oop.
He didn't die, but he got stabbed in the hand.
That's
So that
unfortunate.
was something.
Beautiful.
I think you can, where there's space, I think you can go down and sit. Or maybe they just flush up here. Maybe right now you can't go down farther. You can go in here and just sit.
Nice.
You know which one? I think it's in the top.
Sure does look cool. Better than I imagined, even. Should we just start climbing up those rocks there and make our way to the top? Thing is, it's not even that, well, I mean, it is pretty steep, but it's not so steep that you couldn't make it up quite a ways. Not that I would recommend trying anyway. Got a nice little view here from this overlook right by this rock, which is right off the trail. It's sort of cool because it's like covered by some trees a little bit. It is a sculpture of the sculptor, sculpted by his son. Just like each son sculpts a picture of their father. This here is like the history of the United States of America. It's from 1776 to 1904. Panama Canal Zone. This is along the Presidential Trail, I believe it was. So we're gonna keep on heading down that way. So this is cool. So a little bit of backstory. They were originally going to make a little bit more of the body, like, you know, Washington there. You know, they were gonna actually make him in a coat there. You know, like they were really gonna draw, like, you know, some of the, or they were gonna make some of the hands, you know, like they were gonna do more of the body, which is, I mean, it still looks really cool the way they did it, but it would have been interesting to see, you know, how it would have been if they did actually sculpt the bodies. So it looks like they're about to give us some sort of presentation here. I'm interested to hear it. This is a nice view from over here. The heads. The power to carve a mountain. Yeah. Federally closed area. Keep out. I bet that's another one of those things where they'd put up a sign that says, "This could step or putting one toe onto this area could land you 40 years in federal prison." Because everybody always likes to, you know, deter people like that. So this here is the Presidential Trail. You can see the mountain right there through the trees. I mean, you can pretty much see the mountain on the whole thing, but lots and lots and lots of good views. Looks like there's got to be some sort of good view over here. Gotta enjoy all these random jagged rocks along here. Yep, you indeed have to enjoy them. I watched a video a week or two ago where they were actually allowed exclusive access to the top of Washington's head or something. Oh, nice. Kind of nice view over that way.
It's probably not as, like,
Yeah, so here we're right by it. Thomas Jefferson, born in 1743, died July 4th, 1826. Yet Adams lives. No, he doesn't.
Yeah, didn't they like die on the same day?
Yeah, they did, which was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And there was like another president that died on a different July 4th.
Yeah.
College of William and Mary. Democratic. Since when are you a Democratic Republican? Purchased from France for $15 million, which was a really good bargain.
Shadwell, I was just gonna say.
Shadwell.
Bury Shad.
Thomas. Up this way. Nice. Ooh, look at this view right here.
That's pretty cool.
Like, we shouldn't build on it, we shouldn't deplete resources from it. And that was just the thing with that.
Nice.
Drop anything down in there.
It's a nice view.
Finally, now we can go down, right? Hopefully there's not upstairs again, right? But it is. We're gonna get super tired, right? Oh my god, more!
Got a lot of nice views of this along here. Yeah. Pretty steep stairs here.
Where all the holes are in the guys with the jacket.
Point 2 to the visitor center. This is a good view from this side right here when we're coming back down. Got a nice view over here.
You have a really fancy camera.
Nice.
Not so much. Can you take that one?
Wow. What a nice view from down here, you know. See yet another nice view up here. Great view of it. Looking up the side. And it's funny because it looks a lot like closer right here. Now it's time to head back down.
Oh yeah.
Yep. It's like I was just telling them, I feel like I could just climb all the way up there.
Stuff that just fell down when they carved. They just left it here.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Makes sense.
I would guess so, yeah.
Haul it all out.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be kind of dumb. I like there are trees growing in there, too. I'm not quite sure what this is in here, but... Yeah.
Different angle.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. It's like some sort of cave or something.
You know, this seems disproportionate. Violence are subject to a fine of $500 and 6 months in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is it only $500 but yet 600? Or I mean, how's it only $500 but yet 6 months in jail? Those things don't seem to quite like line up. Like, wouldn't it be like, I don't know, like $5,000 and?
immaculate. I guess so.
Did you see one last night?
Nice. It's Washington. Come on, camera. Readjust to the sunlight. There you go. You can sort of see.
All you can see is George.
Yeah.
It's Jorge.
Here, you can get in front of me.
Maybe you can't really see it on there, but that's okay. Here's a shot of it from what I think is the west side of the mountain. I'm not quite sure though.
So I go over and I open to see what's in it. I see a few penguins that are just about starved to death. He tells about this, asking the army for blankets and so forth. He tells about the situation on the reservation. So Mr. Borgman writes this letter and sends it to Washington, D.C. Then he writes another letter to all the farmers and ranchers around the immediate area, telling them about the situation, asking for a donation. A lot of the farmers and ranchers, they donated canned goods. Some donated cattle, some donated sheep, some donated whatever they can. After a few days, maybe about 2-3 weeks, after all the donations were brought, then he started to transport those down to the reservation. On a big truck, he would load a couple head of cattle with some sheep, chickens, things like this. Behind that, there would be 2 other vehicles with clothing and blankets and stuff, and they would make their way onto the reservation. They would drop it off into the small communities throughout the reservation. He did this for 2 weeks. On his last shipment that was being taken onto the reservation, he took it to a place called Kyle, South Dakota, which is the heart of the reservation. As they dropped the goods off and they were getting ready to leave in their trucks, then our chiefs, our leaders came out and they told Mr. Borgman, Tionka, he says, wait on us just for a little while. We want to say thank you to you. So Mr. Borgman waits and the other people gather around, some of the little children and some of the other adults and so forth. And they acknowledge him at that time. They tell him, we want to say thank you to you. Now our little children will have a full belly for a few more days. We'll have something warm to wear. Our children will have something to keep warm with. So we want to say thank you. So at that time they did a ceremony for him. At that time they made him one of our tribal members. They did a making of relationship ceremony with him. They gave him an Indian name. His name was Eo Wambalik. Eagle Rock was his name. They shared gifts with him. They gave him eagle feathers. They gave him a breastplate. They gave him moccasins. They told him, put these on, brother, when you walk in the Black Hills. That is sacred ground, they told him. After all of this happened, then Mr. Borglum comes back up here. Work starts here on Mount Rushmore again. The natives used to make their way to the boarding school in Rapid City. Where we stand right now, this is the old Highway 244 that came right through here and went on over into Rapid City. The natives would come through and they would stop and they would look up at what was happening. And they asked him, hey brother, do you think you could put a chief alongside George Washington? We have good leaders amongst our people too. So Mr. Borglum agreed. He writes a letter to Washington, D.C. The native would like me to carve a chief alongside Washington. I am seeking funding for this project as well as other material needed here at Mount Rushmore. He gets this letter together and sends it to Washington, D.C. Never did hear a response from that letter. Years later, as Lincoln started to come out of the rock, they asked him again, hey brother, Eagle Rock, you think you could put Crazy Horse alongside Lincoln up there? We have good leaders amongst our people too. So he agrees again, writes another letter to Washington, D.C., sends it over there. Never did hear a response from that all the way up to today. During the time when it was coming to a finish, there was another sculptor that came to work here for Mr. Borgman. This sculptor and his son Lincoln didn't see eye to eye on a few things. That they got into a little conflict, they got into a fight. Mr. Borglum comes back from a trip. Here's about what happened between the two. He fires this sculpture and sends him walking down the road. A little while later, a month later or two, then this sculptor and the native, they come together. And the native tell him what they want, and they ask him if he could carve a rock, one of our native people. So he agrees, and that's how crazy it's coming from.
Yeah, so here you guys can see a little bit closer. This is what it looks like. There's a little amphitheater right here. Usually they hold events at sometimes, and yeah, this is the view from right behind it. So this is some of the stuff they use to patch up the monument occasionally. What do you say, guys? Do you think I ought to head on up there?
I know, I thought that too.
So this in here is sort of like a little bit of a history of Mount Rushmore, which is pretty cool. Sort of tells about the process and some of the inspirations for it, and how they did it, the reasons for why they did it, and all sorts of stuff. This is FDR, I think. I think maybe 1940. Yeah, 36. Oh, this is like a topographical map here.
Remember that place we were standing, Ryan, that had just fireplaces?
What do you mean? Like
They were just like fireplaces. Yeah. Maybe you don't
here?
remember. Yeah.
I don't remember that.
China.
China.
Smoothed it with like
Oh yeah. Him bumping in. It's like, let's come up with a unique name for this process. Let's call it bumping.
Yet the massive sculpture began on a much smaller scale. In the artist's studio, Borglum created a 1/12 scale model that was used as reference for carving the memorial. Today, many consider the studio model to be as much a masterful work of art as the memorial itself. During the 14-year construction period, Borglum spent most of his creative time adjusting the model to fit the realities of the mountain.
And so basically this sort of explains what the meaning of each of the heads is, why they chose those. And so Washington was, of course, the struggle for independence and the birth of the Republic, creating a new nation. Thomas Jefferson expanded the country, the Louisiana Purchase, the $15 million purchase, that huge territory, which was actually a good deal. Lincoln is the permanent union of the states, the Civil War, he brought everybody back together. And Theodore Roosevelt was the 20th century role of the U.S. in world affairs and the rights of the common man. So Yeah. So they've got quite a big history here, especially as far as like territorial expansion. Yeah.
Oh wait, you're recording. Never mind.
Okay.
I was gonna say something inappropriate, but I just.
Oh boy. That was 1821. 1850. Head all the way out to California. 77, after the Civil War, after everybody was reconstructed. Got all this land here. 1960. And of course, Alaska and Hawaii. The end of territorial expansion, which ended in 1867 with the purchase of Alaska, and Hawaii was annexed in 1898. Now it is time for us to head out of the park. Bye-bye, Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln. Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, they have that on there too. I didn't notice that before. Indiana, Illinois, Iowa. Fourth state. Going through this rock, this big rock tunnel here.
Camper in front of me, so he's.
Wow. So cool. There we are. This here is, this is in the Black Hills National Forest, and this is the Norbeck Overlook. And that is Mount Rushmore over there.
And that's Blackout Peak there.
Oh, that's Blackout Peak?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
why I
cool.
said we're in the wrong.
Wow,
part
that
of the
is.
park.
Oh, that's. I wonder if you could see well, at least part of Rushmore from
You
Blackout
can.
Peak. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, you can.
Wow. See, I never really knew that they were so close. I thought they were a ways apart. So that's where we're going tomorrow. Highest point in the state of South Dakota.